contains material that is graphic and violent. This may be disturbing to sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The views, opinions, and thoughts expressed by the guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed here do not Warning: the following program contains material that is graphic and violent. This may be disturbing to sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The views, opinions, and thoughts expressed by the guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed here do not reflect the views held by the channel or any of its employees. Warning: the following program contains material that is graphic and violent. This may be disturbing to sensitive viewers.
Wanna shake the ground, wanna break away, let loose. I'm tired of waiting, gotta make that move. All the neon signs, now they shout to me and you to write our story. Wanna shape the new. Do you wanna come along with me? Come along with me. Do you wanna? And we ain't got nothing, gotta do something, get it right. Gonna keep on running, grab the fun and live it live. And tomorrow's far away, should I let the party fade? And we ain't got nothing, gotta do something, let us all tonight. Got a restless mind, and now I won't let go. So let us be crazy before we are cold. You can take us out, your doubts won't hold us down, 'cause we're gonna light up the sky where we go. Oh, do you wanna come along with me? Come along with me. Do you wanna? And we ain't got nothing, gotta do something, get it right.
Life, a state of existence beyond human understanding. Life, beautifully designed by God Almighty to showcase His extraordinary abilities. We were created to manifest the glory of the Lord and fulfill His purpose. We were created to be happy and live according to His desires. But sometimes we experience the harsh side of reality. We pass through difficult situations that may challenge our faith. But the Bible says that in difficult times we must hold steadfast to our faith. We must believe in God's works more than ever. In difficult times, all we need is a little faith, hope, prayer, and inspiration. Midnight Date seeks to encourage people to be like Job during times of tribulations. Midnight Date is a show aimed at providing restoration through spiritual education and the practical application of prayer. We walk with fellow soldiers in Christ through moments of trials. Are you going through situations that put your faith in disbalance? Why not join us today so that we can walk through this together?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good night, riders. The lion is awake. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Midnight Date Show, and I am Major Daughter. Now, if you have just joined us, go ahead and share this broadcast as many times as possible. Tell everybody it's time. What a time to be alive, really. What a time to be alive in a moment like this. What are you doing where you are? Because moments like this in the world present us with opportunities to be game changers. But not only that, they present us with opportunities to steer the ship. I want to welcome you wherever you are. Share this broadcast as many times as possible. Tell everybody we're live. I'm so excited. Let me tell you why I'm excited. Nothing is exciting about the show or today's show really, but I'm excited about being alive, excited about being able to do something in this world that really shifts certain gears and stirs waters. And, we stir waters, but who else does it better if it's not my guest who is currently 100 miles away from the Chinese border, risking his life, trying to get the word out about the horrors inside China. That is my guest, Michel Nicholas Gebber. And he's here to share about 21 years of his investigative life's work, exposing the forced life organ harvesting. Many of you have not heard anything about it. Others were hearing it for the first time. Genocide at its best. My guest has been doing this, exposing, investigating for over 21 years. Now that is what I call stirring waters, doing the unpopular. It is in a time like this where you've got to do the unpopular, not being in the narrative, not following the narrative, not following the popular narrative. That is my guest. Go ahead and share this broadcast as many times as possible. And what we are doing here today, we are helping him to get the word out. It's about time. If you have not done so already, check their website called stoporganharvesting.org, www.stoporganharvesting.org. That's their website. You'll find everything about them. I'll implore you and challenge you to go on their website, see their work. Over 21 years doing this, risking his life, 100 miles away from the Chinese border. If you've never been in China, you may not know what I'm talking about. But look, today we have an opportunity to sit with him, talk with him, send your questions, engage. This is the opportunity to engage with him. Send your questions, send your comments. But as much as you do that, the best thing you can do for this broadcast is to share it far and wide. Let everybody know what has been going on. Let everybody know what has been hidden. Somebody said earlier on, as I was following on Twitter, that they've seen a price list on organs. There's been a price list circulating on organs. Now you know where this is coming from. Do yourself a favor, and the people in China and the people around the world who have been experiencing this or who have become victims, share the broadcast. Share the broadcast. Now, in a moment, Michel Nicholas Gebber will be joining me in a moment. But before he comes in, this is the Midnight Date Show, and I am your host, Major Daughter. Share this broadcast far and near. Share it far and near. Far and near. We're about to find out about the explosives, horrors inside China. And this is China that wants to be the powerhouse of the whole world, the power. This is China that wants to rule the whole world. Maybe you don't know about that. My thoughts, what are your thoughts? Share your thoughts. I can see using the hashtag China Stop Killing for Organs. Hashtag China Stop Killing for Organs. We are coming to you live from South Africa. This is not recorded. This is not pre-recorded. This is live. We are live. Really live. The Midnight Date Show. Yes.
Life, a state of existence beyond human understanding. Life, beautifully designed by God Almighty to showcase His extraordinary abilities. We were created to manifest the glory of the Lord and fulfill His purpose. We were created to be happy and live according to His desires. But sometimes we experience the harsh side of reality. We pass through difficult situations that may challenge our faith. But the Bible says that in difficult times we must hold steadfast to our faith. We must believe in God's works more than ever. In difficult times, all we need is a little faith, hope, prayer, and inspiration. Midnight Date seeks to encourage people to be like Job during times of tribulations. Midnight Date is a show aimed at providing restoration through spiritual education and the practical application of prayer. We walk with fellow soldiers in Christ through moments of trials. Are you going through situations that put your faith in disbalance? Why not join us today so that we can walk through this together?
If you have not done so already, go ahead and share this broadcast as many times as possible. Tell everybody we are live. In a few seconds, I'll be bringing in my guest, who is currently 100 miles away from the Chinese border, risking his life for people like us, really. For people like us, because these folks that are fighting, these folks that are risking their lives, their passion is for us. Risking his life, trying to get the word out, trying to tell the whole world what the world needs to know about the horrors inside China. Michelle Nicholas Gebber will be joining me in a few seconds. I see so many of you are joining in. Tell everybody, call somebody who needs to be here. Is there someone who needs to be part of this show? They are not. And tell the mainstream media it's happening right now. This is a show and this is an interview everybody's got to take interest in. After this show, Michelle Gebber should be receiving calls from everywhere, everyone wanting to know. Yes, stoporganharvesting.org is his website. Is their website. You can catch him there. Michelle, good morning to you, Michelle Gebber.
Major, I love your passion. I love the Spirit of God within you, and I'm just honored and just so happy and grateful to be on your show.
Wow, thank you so much. We are grateful to you. What a time. Now, would you kindly, in a few minutes, tell the world who is Michelle Gebber, Nicholas Gebber? Where are you from? Where are you based? I mean, many don't know who you are. Michelle?
Well, Major, I've been doing this for, like you said, now 23 years on the front line, close to the Chinese border. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for letting me share. I do this for no money. I don't do this for any name or recognition. I only do it because I know God says it's the right thing to do. When I was young, at 21 years old, I took upon a spiritual crusade to expose evil and defend the good. And I was born in South Africa in the early 1980s. And the reason why I was born in South Africa, Major, is because my family, or whatever was left of them after being slaughtered by the Nazis in Lithuania and Hungary, fled to South Africa. That's where I was born. It was the most amazing time when Madiba, Nelson Mandela, came and liberated us and created an incredible rainbow nation, a new South Africa. Yeah. And I want to share with you, if I may, a quote from the late great Nelson Mandela, that there is a constant struggle. There is a constant struggle between good and evil in the world. And it is up to good people like us to choose the right side. So I took it upon myself, with my heart, with my spirit, with very little resources, to go and take on the red dragon of China, the Chinese Communist Party. Let's just be clear, Major, this is not the Chinese people. We're not anti-China. I'm not anti-Chinese people or Asian people. It is the Chinese Communist Party, a reign of terror, a diabolical specter of evil that has murdered, destroyed, and decimated 5,000 years of Chinese culture, has wiped out millions of people, has ransacked Africa, the Middle East, even infiltrated into the United States and other countries around the world. This reign of terror has now harvesting innocent people alive in state-mandated hospitals. So I took it upon myself because I was touched by God. Truly, I was making a lot of money. I was in the top 10 school of business in America. Luckily, my family immigrated to the United States very early on in my life. I got great opportunities in America to do an internship at a prestigious investment firm. So I was around money, I was around success, I was around business. But something inside me, I guess it was the Lord's a voice that said to me, you know what, Mitch, you have to stop right now all the money making pursuits. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you need to expose this new form of evil, and that is why the Lord has brought me to you today.
Wow, this is the Lord's work, and I agree, and I love what you're saying. You say this is not a war against the Chinese people. It's war against the Chinese Communist Party that is doing this work. Very, very
Absolutely,
clear.
and exactly. And if I may share a Bible verse before we get into it, and I've got so many clips
By
for
all
your audience.
means.
I have a lovely Bible voice because verse because I love the intro. Incredible. From Ephesians 6:10-18. It's called the armor of God, Major and everybody. Listen carefully because this will really make you feel incredibly inspired and strong in the Lord's grace. The armor of God from Ephesians 6:10-18. Finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand,
Stand.
stand firm then.
Yes. Oh,
Yes,
I love
with
it.
the belt of exactly, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplates of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of spirit, which is the word of God. Can I get an
Wow.
amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Well, the loudest amen. Amen.
Amen.
I love it. It says when you have done everything, stand, stand. Look, it says we are not strong on ourselves. We're not strong on our own muscles. We're not depending on the muscles. We are strong in the Lord. That is what hits me. Our strength comes from the Lord. We are enabled from above. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much,
Absolutely.
Mr. Gebber, for that. That
Thank
is
you.
beautiful. Wow, I mean, people can't believe that you've just shared a scripture. They don't know, behind every successful person, there is somebody,
The man upstairs, the Lord, the Creator, our Almighty. Amen.
Because just in
Guides our
case,
way through the darkness.
yes, just in case one is wondering, where do you get all this boldness to go out there in the jungle and be shaking, stirring the waters because you are bringing all kinds of fish out? Now they know.
That's it. The courage to lead and to have faith in the Almighty Creator, and to fail to support what is good and to fail to expose anybody that is evil is unacceptable. And what is a human being who cannot make the world a better place? Be brave and do something righteous. In the name of God. Amen.
Amen. Exactly. Now tell us, what is Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa? What is it all about? Many don't know. They just hear Falun Gong. They don't even know how to pronounce. Tell us about it. What is this all about?
Absolutely. Well, as a Christian, coming from a Judeo-Christian family, we have our faith in God. But I always read through the Bible and the scriptures that we need to stand for others that are suffering wherever they are in the world, regardless of their race, creed, gender, nationality, or religion. So with Falun Gong, it teaches the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. Major, it emphasizes a character of a character building in virtue rather than some cult or some radical sect. It's a good spiritual movement that I became very familiar with because I have been really intrigued by martial arts. I was always brought up on Bruce Lee and martial arts movies. I love yoga and the healing of ancient India and the modalities of ancient China. So I was, like many people, were drawn to Falun Gong because of its healing effects. It's got 5 simple exercises, and I brought a visual for the audience. I'll play in a minute if I may. I've got many clips to take you on a journey, by the way.
Definitely.
Absolutely. But however, a significant reason for Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, as you brilliantly pronounced it, because of the popular appeal, it was also due to its simple and straightforward, just stretching movements. When you practice, and in China, when Falun Gong was introduced to the general public of China, it was in a very simple exercise, meditative, mind and body practice way. Nothing religious, nothing cultish, nothing radical. There was no money involved. You just live according to truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. They're universal principles found in Christianity, Judaism, and that's why I was very attracted to this ancient spiritual movement. It's just let go of negative attachments, be responsible to yourself and others. When you are in business, you consider your employees. When you are in a relationship, you consider your wife or your kin. And it's just becoming a better person. However, it was outlawed by the Chinese communist regime and brutally vilified, marginalized, and now they are being sent to state-mandated hospitals, their organs cut out of their bodies while alive. And the organs, because they become so healthy after practicing these exercises and following more, and after following more of a truthful, compassionate, and tolerant lifestyle, they have been harvested alive for their organs, and the organs have been sold for millions of dollars, fueling a multi-billion-dollar business around the world. But before we get into that, I'll just show you a demonstration of what Falun Gong is, if I may.
Yes, please. Let's see that. Falun Gong exercises. Wow. Interesting.
Absolutely. Yes, of course. Here we go. Let me play the first video. Hopefully it will come out, coming clear. Is it coming in loud and clear? Can you see it? Can you see it, Major?
We can see it, Michelle. It's there live. Just need to play.
Okay, wonderful. Let me play. Here we go.
Falun Dafa, also known as Falun Gong, is an advanced self-cultivation practice that improves mental and physical wellness through physical exercises and the development of one's character. In China, cultivation practices have a history of thousands of years and form the spiritual foundation of Chinese civilization. In 1992, Falun Dafa was introduced to the public by Master Li Hongzhi. The practice quickly spread because of its profound principles and proven health benefits. By 1999, with over 100 million practitioners, Falun Dafa had grown to become the largest practice of its kind in China and around the world. Traditional Chinese medicine focuses on energy channels and believes that the health of the body is related to the health of the mind. Falun Dafa cultivates mind and body simultaneously, improving the body's natural immunity.
So as you can see,
Yes.
So as you can see, and hopefully it came out loud and clear and a good visual for the audience.
We got it. We got it. Yes.
A very simple, down-to-earth practice, free of charge, practiced in the parks in China, and it became the life force of China, Major. Falun Gong exemplified health, spiritual vitality, wellness. It was reducing millions of dollars of healthcare costs.
Wow.
1 out of every 12 Chinese national citizens were practicing the Falun Gong exercises, living more of a truthful, compassionate, and tolerant lifestyle. And even the Chinese government praised Falun Gong as the life force and the crime-fighting practice of the Chinese people. However, in
So,
1999,
if I may just break in there, so these
yes, please.
exercises definitely made people more healthier. They came out of whatever they were taking, if they were on some kind of medicine, just through a simple lifestyle of doing these exercises and the truth behind it.
Absolutely. All ailments, injuries, and illnesses were vanishing. People were living longer. Millions of dollars of healthcare costs were being reduced. It was quite profound. It became the most popular spiritual movement out of all the others. All the other healing and wellness practices, the yoga, the qigong, the martial arts, the tai chi. It became the largest Falun Gong, also known as Falun Dafa, and that's why it was considered a major threat to the Chinese Communist Party, because it became the largest spiritual movement, and the number of people practicing Falun Gong outnumbered, just in popularity,
Wow.
the number of people in the Chinese Communist Party by 30 million people, Major. That already sent a threatening wave through the Chinese Communist Party's regime, and instead of embracing it, as all the Chinese people, whether you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, the Chinese Communist Party cracked down on it and wanted to destroy them within 3 months. I have another clip. Yes.
Before you go to that other clip, it was not just threatening the Chinese Communist Party. It was taking people out of business, Nicholas. It was. I'm sure it was. It certainly became an enemy. Let's go to the other clip. But from what you're telling me, it sure does take out people out of business.
Like apartheid. It was like the evil apartheid in South Africa, taking innocent black people out of their homes in the middle of the night. The SAP, the army, they would just take them out and kill them. And Nazi Germany, because under communism you are not free. You have no privacy. You have no rights, literally.
Wow.
And this particular practice, yes, they were just targeted. But let me play the clip, because I think a visual tells 1,000 times more than just the words. So here we go, guys. And I'm so happy to share with your wonderful viewers, because this needs to be shared, and this is heavily censored in China right now and around the world. But let me share with you this one. Let me see where I can find it. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me see if it's coming in loud and clear. This is a clip from the award-winning documentary, and I'll share the documentary links and all the links that people can go and see and watch the videos and the movie themselves. But here we go. This is the clip that I want to share with you.
Crimes in history began taking place in hospitals throughout the country as organ transplants suddenly began to skyrocket.
We've been asked to investigate allegations that there has been harvesting of organs of Falun Gong in China. Our bottom line conclusion, after considering everything as best we could, was that the allegations are true.
I began conducting comprehensive interviews with medical professionals, Chinese law enforcement personnel, and over 50 refugees from the Laogai system. But I estimate that 65,000 Falun Gong were murdered for their organs from 2000 to 2008.
Essentially what organ harvesting means is they're taking Falun Gong practitioners literally like cattle, holding them in prison camps, testing their blood and other vital organs, and when someone comes into the country that needs a heart, a liver, a kidney, they find a match, they take the Falun Gong practitioner, extract their organs, of course killing them in the process.
People who are expecting this to sort of just be solved naturally by all we have to do is sit back and they'll fix it, this is wrong. The West has to take a role. And the one role the West can do is say, these are our values. We cannot go beyond this. There are certain lines we can't cross. This is a red line. That's an absolute red line.
Enver Tohti, the surgeon turned bus driver, says it's been 20 years since he removed the organs from that live prisoner. It remains a mystery why so few people have ever heard about the thing he says he cannot forget.
This is my experience. This is a real true story. If you keep silence, this tragedy will continue. People, they just don't want to touch this evil. Because if you touch this evil, maybe at the end of the day, you may not be able to tackle this the consequences. That is my guess.
So as you can see, Major, this is going on. This is not some kind of kidney in the bathtub. Yes, it's going on around the world. Absolutely. I'm
And
sure your viewers will
harvesting
say.
these organs while they are alive. They're not dead, they are alive. Horrific.
While alive, hundreds and thousands a year sent to state-mandated hospitals, millions, between 2,000 to 3,000 state-mandated hospitals, Major, over 252.
State-mandated hospital. These are state hospitals, Mitchell?
Yes, turning the doctors into murderers. Yes, I was at and I'll tell you a story. I have the clip with me as well. I was at. I was wondering if I can cue my conference up, because I was testifying in front of the British Parliament about 2 years ago with the main investigators, the gentleman that you saw in one of the clips. Those are the main investigators, and the doctor who was driving the bus. He was a surgeon, a Uyghur Muslim. Now, I'm sure a lot of your guests and your viewers have heard about the Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang or Urumqi. It's a sect of Muslim or Islam that have also been ethnically cleansed and persecuted brutally, and their organs are also being harvested. But not many people, and the house Christians and Tibetans, but not many people have heard about the Falun Gong. They comprise 95% of forced organ harvesting. But yes, while alive, a little sedation, while the blood is flowing, they're cutting out the organs, because the fresher the organs, the more money they can make. So without further ado, Major, if I can play another.
Yes, let's go to the other clip, because this is evidence. And by the way, our viewers, this is live evidence that you can go confirm. All the links will be on the comment section for everyone to go confirm. By the way, before you go to that clip, Mitchell, I think I need to say this. One of the viewers is saying, which is what makes me to be very concerned as well, says, just so you know, South Africa is under communism. But I'm not thinking South Africa, I'm thinking Africa. I'm thinking this communist party is infiltrating Africa. They are coming in Africa, doing so much in Africa. It brings to my mind the BRICS Bank that also touches China. They're part of it. They're part of so many things in Africa. Should we be concerned, Michelle? If you don't mind answering this one.
Very much so. Actually, I was in South Africa. I'm a native-born South Africa, and when I visited South Africa, I raised money for orphans and for children in Kenya. I did a mission in Kenya in the Mukuru slums of Kibera and Nairobi, Embakasi pipeline in Nairobi, and I would talk to politicians who were warning me, please, Mitch, we need to reach out to more people around the world to show how the Chinese Communist Party are buying up all the ports, they're buying up all the resources, they're controlling all the mines, they're enslaving the African people. It's shocking, and they're creating puppet dictatorships in Darfur. I'm sure you've heard about the Darfur genocide. Remember, where 8% of the petroleum oil in Zimbabwe, how people have been starving. That's why you're seeing a massive influx of Zimbabweans into South Africa, Kenyans into South Africa. But yes, communism is an evil specter. It's not for the people. It's not freedom. It's not socialism. It is a very tyrannical system of control, and it's incredibly deceptive. They'll say, well, give us all your freedoms and we'll give you healthcare, but your soul, your heart, your mind belong to me. And if you actually listen to the testimonies of communist survivors who have fled Eastern European or Russia or Cambodia or China or other places around the world where there was huge communist dictatorships set up. You will hear nothing but slaughter and horror stories, because communism is a mass murdering system of control to destroy and to plunder everybody of their riches and control them. And I'm living on the border of China. I can tell you, you are a slave. And that's why the African states and the heads of states need to really band together and say no to the Chinese Communist Party. Again, this is not about Africans or Chinese. They're wonderful, remarkable people. You know, we bleed the same blood, we breathe the same air. We all want to be successful, feed our families, and live in peace, but not under the control of the Chinese Communist Party. So that's my answer to you, Major. And I see a very, very sad state of affairs, not only in Africa, but also in America, the infiltration of the Chinese Communist Party. And there's a wonderful publication I can share with you as well. I have so much I'm trying to nail everything into 2 hours after 21 years of experience. And I'm walking the walk, you know, I'm putting my life on the line. This is no joke. I'm not in a compound in America. I'm on the front lines here, and I'm telling you, there is some serious crimes to play with the CCP, colluding with traitors around the world for money and power, selling out their people. In Canada, under Justin Trudeau, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, they care nothing for the people. They care nothing for the stability of human rights. The One Belt, One Road initiative in Africa, they are enslaving African people. They're stealing the resources. They're colluding with gangsters that are supposedly for the people, and that is my biggest concern. And it's unfortunate, but that's why the people, Amandla, Awetu, need to rise up and take control. Power to the people.
And people can actually stop this. And this is what we keep saying. As the people, we are the most powerful. People can stop this.
Yes, absolutely. One of your lovely guests said that communism is slavery. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing it with the Falun Gong, how they've just been rounded up for practicing their own spiritual beliefs, sent to state-mandated hospitals, their bank accounts frozen, suspended. Even in Iran, I have people in Iran who said, you know what, if you say anything that speak out against the violations of human rights of the people, they will suspend your bank accounts. They will send out the secret police. And this is what has happened in China. So I would love to share a little bit more of the clips, just to share with
Let's go to the other clip. Yes.
And again, it's a blessing, truly an absolute blessing to be with you, Major. You are one of a kind. I cannot tell you how much it means to me, because the mainstream media will not let me come on. I've been banging down their doors and on their doors for years. And you, with the heart of God, a queen in your own right, with your incredible audience, have allowed me to share just a little time with you. But it's just, this will go down in history as courage and sacrifice for helping others. And what you're showing is the epitome of compassion, the epitome of God's work. And you should really, really sit back and pat yourself on the back, and later maybe have a glass of wine and just look over the horizon.
Well, our
and say,
partners,
you know what,
we have Mitchell, we have partners who are really behind the work that we do. I hope they're listening. Big ups to them. Big ups, because without them, as you know how much this will cost to just come on, without them, we will not be here. Yahweh be praised, Mitchell. And
Yahweh be praised.
I'm just thinking, there are people who go to China for organ transplant. They can stop this. They can actually stop this. Because if you think about how that organ was obtained and harvested, that should say something to you when you look yourself in the mirror. Mitchell, over to you, please.
And for all the money, Major, millions and millions of dollars They are getting so rich off the consumer market, the institutionalized slavery system of mainland China. No wonder you can get in America and all over the world prices, televisions, things for so cheap. Where do you think it comes from? The slave labor. But again, I'd love to share another clip with you because I know we don't have much time. And again, thank you so much to everybody who's supporting this and backing your backers. Praise to Jah, praise to Yahweh for this, because if it wasn't for them, we would never be able to get this out. Let me share with you this clip, if I may. This clip right here, which I'm about to play. In the end, you're going to actually hear a live recording from a doctor in a hospital, a high-ranking doctor in a medical hospital in China. Listen to this.
By 2000, Falun Gong practitioners were disappearing into labor camps in mass numbers. At the same time, Chinese hospitals began promoting their organ transplant expertise.
I'm David Matus, and with me is David Kilgore. We've been asked to investigate allegations that there has been harvesting of organs of Falun Gong in China. David Kilgore is a former member of parliament and former cabinet minister for Asia Pacific, and I'm a Winnipeg lawyer doing immigration, refugee, and international human rights law in Winnipeg. And we have now done our investigation, and we're producing this report. And I didn't know whether it was true or not, and so my task initially was to try to figure out a way of approaching the issue so that I could either prove it or disprove it and not just walk away and say, I don't know.
The number of executions in China varied widely depending on who was counting. But Matus says no matter which number he used, the number of executions and the number of organs didn't add up.
The transplant volumes increased substantially after the persecution of Falun Gong began. And I mean, there's a lot of other evidence, but the most likely explanation for the increase is the Falun Gong. We pursued every investigative trail we could find. In the report, you will see that there are 18 different avenues of proof and disproof we considered and evaluated. Our bottom line conclusion, after considering everything as best we could, was that the allegations are true. We believe them to be true, that this harvesting is indeed happening.
Matus says what made Falun Gong organs especially attractive was the practitioners' healthy lifestyle. They do not drink or smoke. On many of the recordings of phone calls made to more than 100 Chinese hospitals, doctors assure callers that transplant organs are from healthy Falun Gong practitioners.
Okay, Major, can you hear me? Major?
We can hear you loud and clear.
I'm just going to share with you before.
Yes.
This is the caller. This is the investigative caller who pretends to be a organ buyer from Falun Gong, and this is the actual call. Listen to this. A good one would be picked. Quality assurance. We can just pick them out. We'll just go pick them out of a just almost like a grotesque restaurant, a lobster out of a tank, cut it open, and then just take the organs, reduce waiting times of kidneys, livers, and pancreases and hearts from 4 to 8 years to a matter of days, to a matter of weeks. And now they want to do it in a matter of hours. Multi-billions of dollars. Wickedness. Truly.
No, there's nothing else I could think about.
People might be thinking, well, it's been happening, this guy's this guy's that. I get certain people, trolls, who will say you're full of crap, Mitch. You're lying. This is not going on. This has been done before. Well, why don't you ask the victims? Why don't you read the reports? But many people, they don't want to believe it. They don't want to think about it because it's so heavy and so unbelievable. But I want to share with you, Major, just to give the skeptics, because I love the skeptics, those who will question everything. I want to share with them our testimony in front of the British Parliament. We had about 3 days. I was at a child trafficking court. What I'm about to play with you, if I may, another clip, just briefly to show, because when you get the skeptics on your side, then you can get the whole world on your side as well. But that's why I appreciate skeptics, because when I can win them over with the evidence that is irrefutable and beyond a reasonable doubt proven, then the whole world will follow suit. So without further ado, if I may, I can share a
Yes,
little bit of my
feel free, Mitchell, feel free. Yes.
Thank
Wow.
you, Major.
This is
You are such a
explosive.
godsend.
This is
Truly is, truly is. I want to share with you.
Time in human history, as I think we all heard yesterday.
This is the gentleman, David Kilgore, which you saw. This is the coalition I brought to the ITNJ, which is an inquiry into human trafficking and child sex trafficking in London. But here I am, as you can see, and with all, and I brought David Kilgore and David Mattis, and just let him share just briefly.
And this was necessary to create a live bank of donors. And the next part of my talk was dealing with the slaughter, which, how many years did you spend working on that book? 7, but I took 2 hours. All right. Well, your book went up to 2008. It came out in 2014. I hope you've all got a copy of it. It's a marvelous book. And your closing words, are you going to read your closing words to the? No, I won't. All right. Well, let me read them to you. Then it's very, I think you'll agree with, I hope you'll agree with them. No Western entity possesses the moral authority to allow the party, the Communist Party of China, to impede the excavation of a crime against humanity in exchange for promises of medical reform. As a survival mechanism for our species, we must contextualize, evaluate, and ultimately learn from every human descent into mass murder. The critical thing is that there is a history, and only the victims' families can absolve the party from its weight, close quote. Ethan and David Mattis and I released an update in June of 2016 in Washington, Ottawa, and Brussels. You can access it from our website. I hope you all will. It's got 470 footnotes. We don't want you to read the footnotes, but 700 pages depending on the font size. You'd agree? So we've really gone into these hospitals very, very carefully. We concluded that by looking at things like medical journals and nurses' journals, all kinds of things, that hidden websites and hidden archive material, that this is a state-run system across China, and it's run by the government, and I think you heard on the tape, it's the only place in the world where the government runs this heinous system of killing human beings. We concluded cautiously that a minimum of 60,000 transplants per year are being done across China, not the approximately 10,000 the government likes to convince people that they're doing. There's a very small pool of voluntary donors, and maybe Ethan will speak about that, plus a few thousand convicted prisoners. By my lawyer's arithmetic, which you know is not good, about 150 people a day are being killed for their organs in China. That's a lot of human beings. We provide much evidence of a state-directed organ transplantation network controlled through national policies and funding and implicating both the military and the civilian broadcast systems. This all stopped in January 2015. If you believe that, I've got some swampland I'd like to talk to you about. Is there swampland here?
Anyway, I just wanted to share with you that, Major, that was our deliberation in 2000, I believe, 2019. I was in London, and that was the first day. That was the International Tribunal of Natural Justice. The Honourable Sacha Stone was there. He was the director of that, and then we went to testify in front of the British Parliament the second and third day with human trafficking, and we had London bankers there, we had Interpol, we had many government officers and officials and victims of child trafficking. But we were the first presentation to expose the diabolical forced organ harvesting run by the Chinese government, run by the Chinese military and the state-run media hospitalization system to eradicate hundreds and thousands of Falun Gong. Now I believe it's between 80 and 100,000 transplant murders a year. And that's conservative estimates. Cutting out the organs of the Falun Gong.
Now somebody says, Why has the world been so silent about this? Because if you have been to the British Parliament, this should be out there. By the way, the mainstream media has refused to bring you in because this is what our viewers need to understand, and some of them I know they already know. Media controls what you see, media controls what you think about, media wants to control what you watch. That's the power of media. But the people can change all that. The people can. You have knocked on different doors. Why has all these mainstream media people not been willing to bring you on? Because their reach is so wide so that people can see what is going on. Mitchell, you have anything to say about that?
Because it's all about money. All about money, Major. I actually was going to pull up a United Nations seminar, if I can play that in a moment.
Yes.
The China Tribunal, ChinaTribunal.com, was headed by Jeffrey Nice, QC. He was the prosecuting attorney bringing justice to Slobodan Milosevic, the former Yugoslavian dictator, very similar to the Cambodia Khmer Rouge, who just killed millions, tens of thousands of people a day. Look at the Rwandan genocide. You know, I immigrated to the United States to continue my studies in 1995. When Madiba, man, that was the greatest year of our lives, for my life, you know.
Yes.
But in 1994, the ghosts of Rwanda, the Rwandan genocide. Remember how the bodies were just coming down the Orange Free State, where the Tutsis were just massacred by the Hutus, and the Belgians had a large part to play in that, because the colonization with Belgium caused a lot of problems in Rwanda. But the Hutus just macheted tens of thousands, I think 80,000 a day, just men, women, and children. So when you have those kind of tyrants and dictators, where in China, the Falun Gong are just being slaughtered each and every day, as you heard the Honorable David Kilgore testify, between 100 to 200 people a day in China are just being cut open while alive. And the numbers are much higher than that. We just conservative estimates, you know. So why hasn't the world woken up to this? Well, because the Communist Party has infiltrated all the multinational corporations,
exactly,
the United Nations, the World Bank, the World Health Organization, the United Nations. But there are a certain amount of people like us, like you, like the investigators, who are speaking up against this, as well as the China Tribunal, which I'd love to share with the world to see that more is being done about this, and that this is not some kidney in the bathtub story, that this is a new form of diabolical murder that the world hasn't come really grips with, that has been perpetrated and orchestrated by a mass murdering regime that has pretty much now the second or first largest military, the second or first largest economy in the world, and the largest population in the world. If I may, Major, if I could share that with you quickly.
Yes, you can go ahead, because you are not just saying there's evil going on in China. You are bringing evidence, and this is what is so important about this conversation. There's evidence to back it up. And before the end of this program, the links will be shared on the comment section for anyone to go and confirm for themselves. Mr. Gebber, over to you, please.
Thank you, Major. Let me share with you here. Let me share with you this, if I may. This is great evidence in itself. This is China's transplant crimes exposed at the United Nations Human Rights Council on September 24th, 2019. Here we go.
Mr. Vice President, the Durban Declaration affirms the urgent need to prevent, combat, and eliminate all forms of trafficking in persons, including organ trafficking. China Tribunal, a People's Tribunal chaired by Sir Geoffrey Nice, considered all available evidence and concluded that forced organ harvesting from prisoners of conscience, including the religious and ethnic minorities of Falun Gong and Uyghurs, had been committed for years throughout China on a significant scale, and that it continues today. This involves hundreds of thousands of victims. Acting on independent legal advice, the tribunal concluded that commission of crimes against humanity against Falun Gong and Uyghurs had been proved beyond reasonable doubt, victim for victim, and death for death, cutting out the hearts and other organs from living, blameless, harmless, peaceable people constitutes one of the worst mass atrocities of this century. Organ transplantation to save life is a scientific and social triumph, but killing the donor is criminal. Government and international bodies must do their duty not only in regard to the possible charge of genocide, but also in regard to crimes against humanity, which the tribunal does not consider to be less heinous. It is the legal obligation of UN member states and the duty of this Council to address this criminal conduct. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
So there we go, as you can see.
Whew. Now, I think this brings me to a very important question. Actually, two questions. This Falun Gong was outlawed in China. Now, why was it outlawed, and why are they persecuted so much, and who has controlled China for the last 50 years? I think this is what we need to come to. We need to understand who has controlled China for the last 50 years, and who is this CCP, who is this Chinese Communist Party. These are important things, because if we get this background, it will guide people on how to move from here. I'm bringing like 3 questions to you at the same time. Is because they're coming to me fresh and fast, and I mean, with what you're showing us, this is something else. Never thought about it this way.
I love it, Major. I'll answer those questions entirely. There are 3 main reasons why the Chinese Communist Party targeted particularly Falun Gong. One is because it became the largest spiritual movement in all of Chinese history. Now think about that. In 5,000 years of Chinese culture and history and divine values and traditional society, Falun Gong reached 100 million people in a matter of 8 years just through word of mouth. That alone threatened the Chinese Communist Party's control, because anything that is that popular gives people and brings rise to independent thinking, spiritual freedoms, and a divine connection to the Creator. Those 3 things that I just mentioned, freedoms, liberties, independence, divine connection, is a complete threat to the Communist Party and communism in general. The second reason is because of the stark ideology, the contrast, where Falun Gong, like Christianity, which is also brutally persecuted in China, they teach truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance, independence, civil liberties, justice, and truth. The Chinese Communist Party does not. They're anti-universe, they're anti-God, they're anti-universe and principles and ethics. They're killing nature. They believe in killing in order to control. There is a saying, Major, that many regimes, many dictators, many empires killed in order to conquer. The Chinese Communist Party conquered in order to kill.
Yo.
So their intention was to kill. They've killed up to 100 million people. Not to mention, and listen to this, the one-child policy. From the year 1979, and this is going to shake you to the core. When I read this, I was like, wow, unbelievable. From the year 1979, in the name of population control, the Chinese Communist Party has taken away the rights of the Chinese people to give birth freely. Can you imagine, as a queen, as a woman, you were forcefully your rights to give birth freely were forcefully taken away?
Unbelievable.
And unbelievable. And the Chinese Communist Party prevented 400 million births, according to its own official estimate report. So in other words, these fetuses were killed before they could see the world.
Wow.
And women pregnant with a second child were forcefully sent to abortion by local Chinese Communist Party officials, regardless of how soon the babies would be born, and in some cases they would even kill the infants right after birth. And to finish your question, to answer your question, the third reason is because the Chinese Communist Party, why they targeted Falun Gong, is because they did medical investigations on how powerful the exercises were, how powerful the mindset. We always talk, the gurus and the life coaches, they always talk about mindset. A healthy mind, a healthy heart, a healthy spirit does wonders for your physical business, your success in your relationships. Well, they did research, the Chinese Communist Party, on the health and the wellness and the organs and the metabolic processes of Falun Gong practitioners. And they compared it to a non-Falun Gong practitioner who did not do the exercises. And they found miraculous results, incredible results. The health efficacy was going through the roof. Like I mentioned before, millions of dollars of healthcare costs, multi-millions of dollars of healthcare costs in the Chinese society and system were being reduced. That's the reason why they also banned Falun Gong, labeled it as some kind of evil, diabolical CIA-backed cult, to turn public opinion against the practitioners, demonize them. The deluge of propaganda, like Nazi Germany, like under apartheid, against black people, against Jewish people, against Cambodian people, against Tutsi people, calling them cockroaches, calling them rats, calling them raw material. This is what was going on in China against the Falun Gong, as well as the Uyghur Muslims and the House Christians and the Tibetans, particularly the Falun Gong, in order to turn public opinion against them, round them up, send them to these state-mandated hospitals that have been proven now, as you are seeing, and then cut their bodies open while alive and make billions of dollars off their organs. That is the Chinese Communist Party, Major, in a nutshell. A reign of evil.
And it's amazing. Look, you say this is what is ringing on my mind. It's ringing on my ears, and I think it's going to remain with me for quite some time. They didn't kill to conquer. They conquered to kill.
Exactly.
How do you put that together? They conquered to kill, and these are the same people who want to take over the whole world. They want to run the world. Tell me, why does this affect people who have nothing to do with China?
Imagine it was you. Imagine it was your families. And you've experienced it. I mean, look at apartheid. Look at people in Eastern Europe. Look at my Jewish family was slaughtered. We have it in our veins. We have it in our lungs to fight back against evil. I'm not advocating violence, but can you imagine if it was your families today? They were just taken out of their homes into mobile execution vans because of nothing else but to practice their own spiritual beliefs in God-given rights and peace, to state-mandated hospitals and your organs cut out of their bodies, and you never saw your auntie again, you never saw your uncle, you never saw your granny, you never saw your mom and your dad or your loved ones or your colleagues. Wouldn't you do something about it? Well, I do. I have to. And people tell me, you gave up all the millions of dollars, you gave up all the beautiful women, Mitch. You could have been rich and wealthy, driving Lamborghinis, Ferraris, sitting in the 5-star hotels. But you know what? If that's not life to me.
Yeah.
People say, well, you're a white guy. You're a Jewish white guy, millions of miles away from China. What the hell has it got to do with you, pal? And I'm like, but it's got nothing to do with the physical existence. I don't care whether I'm an Oompa Loompa in the chocolate factory and Willy Wonka is my boss. I don't care if I'm in the Cartoon Network. I am a human being, for God's sake. And that's the best way I can say,
Yes, and that will take me to my next question. How did you get involved, and has the communist regime never tried to come after you? Or
I'm going to show you
anything.
Oh, yeah.
You should talk about any sinister crimes. There ought to be a Jewish guy like you has given up everything for the why. For the why. Like they will put it in South Africa. For the why. Why? Why would you do that? Michelle?
Exactly. To fail to support what is good, Major, and to fail to expose what is evil is unacceptable. But I want to share with you quickly on screen, if I may. Take a look at this. Was in South Africa in, let me see, where is the actual report? I want to share with you. Forgive me for taking a little bit of time to find it. Where is it? I wanted to show you. I was involved in an assassination attempt in South Africa. The Chinese Communist Party.
You need to take it as I mean, we want to hear this because our politicians tell us that we must get the Chinese vaccine right now as we speak.
No,
I don't even want to go there. Do I want to talk about that?
No. Yo. Don't
they
even
say
go there.
Our politicians say, why don't we bring in the... I mean, there are some on the ground advocating for the Chinese vax. We're not going out of the topic here. Mitchell,
no.
You are 200 miles away from the border of China. You know more.
Exactly. Absolutely. I would not get it. If anything, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, which has always been available in Africa. Look at the African rates. Very few are dying in Africa. They are lying to you because many governments are taking the ivermectin and the hydroxychloroquine. Look at but the thing is, have you noticed? And this is off topic, but John Magufuli.
It is off topic, but it is on the radar. It's on the radar.
Yes, exactly. John Magufuli, the president of Tanzania, an honorable man, was assassinated because he did not want his people to take these vaccines. In Uganda, in places, even in South Africa, very few people have taken the vax, and people are becoming better healed. There are, as compared to America or in Gibraltar or even in China, where people are dying from these things. The African states, and God bless them, just like John Magufuli, he gave his life to share therapeutic drugs like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, which are saving tens of thousands, if not millions of lives in India. The Japanese government is prescribed ivermectin. Do not take the Chinese Communist Party virus or vaccine. Do not go there. And I'm going to tell you also, Pfizer, on the board of Pfizer, who do you think is running the Pfizer cartel? The Chinese Communist Party. I'm going to show you this. I have so much to show you. But there was a database. Look at this. I want to show you. I have so much. Maybe hopefully I can show you the dot. Yeah, look at this. I want to show for your. Look at this. A massive leak exposes the identities. A massive database. Can you see this, Major? Is it coming up on the screen?
It's on the screen. We can see it. A massive database taken from a Chinese government server in Shanghai has exposed the identities of close to 2 million members of the Chinese Communist Party, thousands of whom are working in British consulates, defense firms, banks, universities, and in British companies such as Jaguar, HSBC, and Rolls-Royce. No.
And also, exactly, and also the pharmaceutical companies. I mean, this is, look, this leaked database has exposed to the extent have embedded themselves in British institutions, including pharmaceutical companies, research firms,
everywhere.
It's terrible. Everywhere. So,
everywhere.
Yes, to answer your question, I would not take this vaccine. If anything, you have ivermectin. My wife almost passed because of COVID. I got COVID. Okay, I came back to Vietnam 2 months after the Chinese virus was released into China from the Wuhan lab. Leaked. They say it leaked, and we have strong reports that the CCP covered up the leak and lied to the world, colluding with all the embassies, the consulates, the World Health Organization to cover it up. I got COVID-19 and I took ivermectin and I was cleared in 3 days. I don't have to take a vaccine. These vaccines are not good. We are seeing massive amounts of death, adverse reactions. on government sites. Look at on the Australian government. Look at the UK government, the health agencies. Even South Africa have come out and said the Omicron is very mild. You don't have to take a vaccine.
Yeah.
Just simple, simple ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, zinc, vitamin D, and vitamin C, and you'll be fine. Have a healthy immune system, stay healthy, exercise, and that is why so many South Africans are surviving compared to the rest of the world, where the vaccination rates are skyrocketing with COVID cases, deaths, and adverse reactions. Now, this is not me saying this by my opinion. This is investigative research. I've researched this for almost a year or two, but again, it's getting off topic, but it all connects. It all connects to the Chinese Communist Party doing this to its people and the world. And that is another reason why people need to stand up against the CCP, because the CCP has caused the lockdowns, all the inconveniences, all the job losses, all the, from Alexandria to Cape Town to different places in the world. Look at all the riots that happened in South Africa. People were starving. That was created by the CCP and its evil agents to cause massive harm on the Xhosa, on the Zulu, on the Afrikaner, on the whoever it is. They want you to fight against each other in order to distract you, put you in a race box, a gender box, a religious box, so you will fight and be distracted by the diabolical depopulation that is happening right now, thanks to the Chinese Communist Party and its evil globalist cabal minions that are making a fortune, Major, off the vaccines. That's the truth, so help me God.
It will be the biggest scandal ever. Look at what Intervie is saying, and I'd like to read that. It says, well, their symbol isn't the dragon for no reason. It's the same old serpent, Satan. There's been a report, this came out earlier on today, that over 70% of South Africans have been exposed to the virus. Look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. So if they've been, if 70% of South Africans have been exposed, when do we ever get to meet that herd immunity? What happens? Because we don't get to hear about that. And how did they survive? They miraculously came out of it.
Absolutely. And with the use of ivermectin. Ivermectin has been used, African sleeping sickness, dengue, has been, it's a Nobel Peace Prize drug. I used it, my wife used it. When you feel symptoms of COVID, very fatigued symptoms, or you are congested, or you feel a headache, take ivermectin. You cannot overdose. 9 milligrams, I'm not a doctor, but this is what I've been told by the frontline doctors all around the world, particularly in India and Africa. That's why I'm saying I have contacts in Kenya, in South Africa. The doctors are telling me, take ivermectin in Uganda. That's why the rates of deaths and adverse reactions from these vaccines are so low, thank God, because the majority of the African people, including myself, are understanding that we don't need vaccines to cure us. We need good sleep. We need to eat good food. We need to exercise and keep our immune systems healthy. And if you need to take a drug, there's nothing better than ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. You've got to be a little careful on hydroxychloroquine, usually 200 milligrams in the morning, 200 milligrams in the night, the good doctor shared with me. Zinc, 50 milligrams, 1 tablet a day, vitamin D, vitamin C, and ivermectin. If you're 100 pounds, or you take 9 milligrams every 100 pounds, and you'll be wonderful. And I can swear testament to God that it works, because I took it, my wife took it, and people who have been doubly vaxxed and have experienced COVID-19 symptoms and have been COVID positive have really helped, and lives have been saved. So the truth is the truth. People can take it for what they are. This is not medical advice. And I know we've gone completely off the subject, but it all relates to the Chinese Communist Party. It was necessary
because I heard from some people I know in Vietnam, they were saying that they are being forced to take the vaccines actually literally dragged and injected. I'm like, I
Yes,
wonder how true that is.
yes.
You're in Vietnam. Any truth to that?
Yes, and look what's absolutely, and in China it's even worse. And now Austria has turned into the new Nazi party. They're recruiting people to hunt down unvaccinated people. It's so wrong because it's the unvaccinated that are not the threat. The vaccinated are not the threat either. People are people. Whether you decide to take a vaccination or not, that's up to you. But even the Nuremberg codes have been violated. The
Yes.
constitutions of the world governments to protect the sanctity of consent of the human being are being violated. No one, Major, has the right to tell you to take a vaccination or not. No one has the right to tell you what to put inside your body, because what we've seen is that this propaganda that, oh, if you don't take the vaccine, you're going to be causing serious harm to people who around you is nonsense. Even the CDC and the World Health Organization have come out and said that the unvaccinated are not a threat. It's the ones that want to that are bought out by the pharmaceutical companies, that are being paid billions of dollars by Pfizer, by Moderna, by AstraZeneca, by Johnson Johnson, that are going to push these vaccines and demonize people for not taking it, calling them horrible citizens and terrible people and selfish people.
It has
But
brought
it's ridiculous.
division. It has brought
It's brought
division.
division.
In fact, major
Yes.
companies in South Africa that you probably know of, your MTNs, your Standard Bank, your Discam, your Old Mutual, the list goes on. They've actually told their employees, no jab, no job, come next year.
It's
Will it
a game.
fly?
It's like apartheid. It's medical apartheid. It's
Exactly,
sick and it
medical
must stop.
tyranny. We're
Absolutely.
seeing tyranny in the name of medicine.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there have been joint submissions to the Criminal Court of The Hague. There have been many lawyers and doctors standing up, thank goodness, against these war criminals, and we call them war criminals, that are colluding and have colluded with the Chinese Communist Party, where the ground zero CCP virus came from. Remember, this is not China, this is not the Chinese people, this is the CCP colluding with the multinational corporations. You read it, it's the database that has infiltrated all the CCP spies that have infiltrated into Pfizer, working and colluding with the CDC, the world governments, to push these poisonous shots to people. And it's the evidence is clear. They can't cover this up, Major. Now, people might think you have taken the vaccine that I'm selfish and that I'm a conspiracy theorist. Not at all. When you look at the numbers, when you look at the real numbers that haven't been fabricated, that haven't been demonized or propagandized, you will see the truth of the matter, that this is not okay. There are wonderful drugs out there. There are healthy ways to help you rid yourself of COVID, which is being created by the CCP and the world traitors, I call them, the world minions of the CCP, for millions of dollars. And they're such sociopathic people. They think that they're here for your safety, for your protectiveness, for your security. It's a bunch of garbage. Don't believe it. And I know the people who are watching will see that for what it is. They will see it for what it is. And I'm saying to you, I just want to share with you, Major.
Yes, and I've been saying, it's a question I've asked every guest that ever came on this show. Have the conspiracy theorists ever been proven wrong since with their conspiracies?
Absolutely. The conspiracy theories have now become conspiracy fact. So that's why I say, and I'm a firm believer in conspiracy fact. And when you see the Japanese government prescribing ivermectin, when you see in Uttar Pradesh 200 million people being helped by ivermectin, millions of people being saved, I'm working with the frontline doctors. When you read the reports, when you look at the patents, and I'm sure maybe there will be attorneys or patent attorneys watching your show, look, ladies and gentlemen, I implore you and urge you to look at the patents. when you look at the patents of Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, you'll see that they don't want to only destroy our children, they want to eliminate the human gene, immune erosion, the blood clotting, the graphene hydroxide that's in these vials, the contracts that Pfizer has placed into the European Commission that wants to throw out the Nuremberg Codes. The Nuremberg Codes were written after the medical Nazi experiments on Jewish people. They want to throw those out and say everyone must be forced. It's your choice whether you want to take a vaccine or not. There's no evidence, even the CDC, that the unvaccinated are spreading the COVID. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. It's actually the vaccinated that are actually spreading the variants. But that's a whole, even Omicron has been found in the vaccinated. But that's a whole different story, and I don't want to shut you down.
Another day. Let's go to the assassination attempt that took place in our country, South Africa. I'd love to see what could have transpired there. You were about to tell us about how you got involved and if there have been any sinister crimes. You know, have you ever been in any trouble with the Communist Party? I'm sure they'll want to come after you. You cannot talk like this, and the communist regime just looks at you and like, go on, keep on exposing us. Mitchell?
Absolutely. I was involved in an assassination attempt in South Africa in 2004. I wish I could bring up the article, but we were trying to go and charge for crimes against the Falun Gong genocide in China, the Falun Gong practitioners, the Minister of Commerce. Absolutely. Navy G was just the Chinese vaccines being pushed in South Africa. Yes, do not take them. Stay away from them. Like I said, take ivermectin. Very important. You'll be protected. But I was in South Africa, and the Chinese consulate and the minister sent 4 or 5 masked gunmen and opened fire on our car, and we had to go to Baragwanath Hospital. I'm not sure if you've ever been to Baragwanath Hospital.
Yes, I've been there several times. Soweto. That's in Soweto.
Soweto, absolutely. Yes. And our driver was treated. He got shot in the foot. And in America, they broke into my car. The Chinese spies came after me. They threatened me. I had to go sit down with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and I wrote a report with the local police. I've been very vocal about my assassination attempt, my death threats, the break-ins. They've tried to freeze my bank account. They've broken into my computer. Major, I'm putting my life on the line, like I said, and I have to put my life on the line, to expose this. I don't do this for any money, ladies and gentlemen. I don't work for any governing body. I'm not a military man. I'm not an intelligence officer. I don't work for the Mossad. I don't work for the CIA or the FBI. I'm a lone human, simple man on a mission to expose evil, because this is the right thing to do. And evil will ban you. They banned me on YouTube. They've shadow banned me. They've now restricted me from Facebook because they don't want the truth. And anyone who bans you, suppresses you, or tries to kill you, you know you're doing the right thing when you do it, when they come after you. So I pat myself on the back for doing it. But without further ado, I know we haven't got much time, Major. Can I play a couple of other clips for you? I think you're
yes, go ahead, please. Wow.
Thank you. I know we've talked about a lot of things, but I wanted to share with you just another clip about what is happening in China. This is, here we go. Let me share with you this.
There are no human rights in China. And the most outrageous example of no human rights in China is killing a peaceful community of Falun Gong practitioners and Uyghurs, who are Muslims, and Tibetan Buddhists and Christians, house Christians, for their organs, kidneys, livers, and so on, and then selling the organs to wealthy Chinese or foreigners, and the people are killed in the process.
The belief I have, I share with David Kilgore, that organ harvesting is widespread in China, and it is restricted almost exclusively to Falun Gong practitioners. The Falun Gong are to the Chinese regime of today what the Jews were to the Nazis during the war. And we should all take note of this and look at China with new eyes.
There's no evidence that Falun Gong is a cult of any sort. There's no evidence of political action to try and bring down the Chinese government. There's no evidence of anything other than a deep desire to be left alone to practice their spiritual beliefs in peace and to not be locked up and murdered.
David and I have met Falun Gong practitioners in probably 50 countries.
Or even more, maybe.
Okay, all walks of life, all ages, all backgrounds, all education. I've found them to be a wonderful group of people.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with any of that. I mean, Falun Gong, first of all, it's not even an organization because it's a set of exercises with a spiritual foundation. Everything's on the internet. You don't pay anything. You don't sign up to anything. You can start whenever you want. You can stop whenever you want. You don't even have to tell anybody you're doing it. Their principles are very simple and ethical. And I mean, all of that is true.
So as you can see, you know, Major, I'm a Jewish investigative journalist. I was born in South Africa. I've seen the sufferings all my life, and I just try to expose this evil. Like I said, whether people choose to do what they want to do, it's my body, my choice. It's your body, your choice. But I think it's very important for people to look at the facts, see the evidence for what it is, and then discern what they choose to do in life.
Wow, wow, wow. What are the world leaders saying about this? What have you ever spoken to any? Have you engaged to any of our leaders? If you can hear me, Michelle, because this is what it comes to.
Certain amount of people, but we also have a lot of leaders that have colluded with the Chinese Communist Party. Enes Kanter, who is an NBA star, he has been very vocal recently. I think he's from Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan. He speaks out about the Uyghur Muslim ethnic cleansing. And so I take my hat off to him because he's one of the very few that is speaking up against the horrors of the CCP, the diabolical nature of the CCP. So the world leaders, we've tried, Major, they've all known about it for 25 years. This has been going on. This is not some kind of new story. Evidence upon evidence, day in and day out, more and more is coming out. And what I would like to say, because I don't know if I have much time, I would like to just share with your audience what they can do and where they can go to find more evidence about this.
Please go ahead and do that. And while you are at it, I'm thinking, what about the international community? Has there been any laws passed trying to stop this? Any country laws, organizations formed, coalitions to stop this? What has been happening on the ground in response to these atrocities? Michelle?
That's a wonderful question. Yes. 4 countries only, unfortunately, as disappointing as that sounds, 4 countries out of how many? 200-300 countries around the world have only stepped forward to ban organ tourism from China. One has been Israel. Israel signed into law the transplantation law of 2008, forbidding any of its citizens of going to China to get an organ because of what is going on against the Falun Gong practitioners and others in China. Also Taiwan, an incredible country of courage. The Taiwanese people, the Hong Kong people, fighting against the Chinese Communist Party for their sovereignty and their freedoms, also banned organ tourism and transplantation from China. Then Spain in the Spanish Parliament, and hopefully Italy and Scotland will follow suit. But nothing from Canada, nothing from America, nothing from really Korea or any other places in the world, Great Britain, South Africa. I would like to see the politicians and the world leaders come to the table and say enough is enough. But the problem is, Major, there's too much money involved. Yeah. There's too much political interest involved. Yes. There's too much resources involved. So when you, for example, if one of the world leaders or the ministers in a country, and I'll just say I'm not going to name a certain country, invites the Chinese Communist Party and wants to do business, a multi-billion-dollar business, and what, $3-4 million, $5 million goes into your pocket, and you say, okay, we can do business, but what about the Falun Gong? What about, oh, no. If you mention, the Chinese Communist Party will say, well, if you mention the Falun Gong, we're going to cancel your contract. You're going to lose all the money. Do you really think that the world leader is going to say, yeah, you're right, forget the money. I don't care about the $5 million I want to get a year from this deal. I'm going to stand up for Falun Gong. I want to stand up for the African people, the South African people, the Jewish people, the Muslim people. I want to stand up for the Falun Gong. No way. Very few.
No way.
And you know who? And you know the ones that do. The Haitian president, John Magufuli from Tanzania. You know what happens to them when they do stand up? They get killed. They get assassinated. So here I am, risking my life for no money, no fame, no fortune, exposing this. But I'm just grateful to be on your show.
Whoa, you were about to show us something on how people can help, what they can do to help, and where they can go to find information about this. Please,
absolutely.
Would you like to go there? Because I'm just thinking there's so much to take in, but having reference to refer to after this will be great.
Absolutely. Can you see this, by the way?
Yes, we can.
Is this coming through on the screen?
We can.
Okay. This people can go, that's wonderful. People can go to faluninfo.net where they can read about what Falun Gong is. It's a beautiful spiritual movement, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a long journey, but those who have stuck around and those who have maybe have had to go, I thank you so much, because this is a wonderful spiritual movement that has been outlawed and persecuted in China. People can go take a look at why it's been persecuted and the forced organ harvesting in China, the whole Falun Gong story. These are award-winning documentaries. Most of them are for free, and you can go and watch as well. And your voice can help the persecution. What I would say to people, particularly with this, and I don't know if you can see this, Friends of Falun Gong, you can help us defend the freedom of belief for Falun Gong practitioners. This is a method of donation. It doesn't go to me or anything. This is a non-profit organization.
Yes.
But what's most important is awareness. You can sign a petition, etc., etc. For those, also, I'm sure you can see this. This is endtransplantabuse.org. For the skeptics out there, if people would like to learn and read more about the reports, let it just load. This is, here we go, help put an end to China's billion-dollar murder for organs industry. I'm sure, hopefully you can see this. Yes, Major?
Yes, we can see it.
Wonderful. Here are all the investigative reports. Everything's here. The video that I would really urge people to watch is the Coalition Roundtable. Here you'll see all the investigators and Miss World Canada. This is Anastasia Lynn sitting in the middle, and they're talking about the investigation and reports, the victims and the numbers, the suppression by the CCP, and the legislation advocacy. It's quite profound. It's a 4 series, but really good and well worth the watch as well. The last thing I want to share with people is the specter of communism is ruling our world. How the specter of communism is ruling our world. This is from the Epoch Times, ladies and gentlemen. It's free of charge, and basically you can just watch it, read or listen to it. It's really good. It's got chapters all the way up to chapter 9, I believe. But this is how the specter of communism is ruling our world, not only in Europe, but in China, but all over the world. And for those who would like to watch the video, the movie is called Hard to Believe. Hard to Believe is being created by Swoop Films, Emmy Award producers, and it's free of charge. You can just go to hardtobelievemovie.com. I'm sure you'll probably have all the links as well, Major. But this movie is really good, and it's hard, and it's free of charge. And I would urge people, again, if you would like to go back to Falun Gong, to learn the exercises. The exercises are free of charge. For ourselves, yes. They're completely free of charge, and they're truly profound and wonderful. And again, It's very easy. If you just would like to go to falundafa.org, falundafa.org, and I think that's the best I can share, and hopefully people can take the initiative just to be aware. If there are, for example, professors of from Wits University or other universities who have a class of 50, 100, 200 students that are looking to do projects in international policy studies or human rights or social justice, etc., consider playing our interview or going to the websites and playing the award-winning videos and documentaries to your students. If there are executives in Investec or other banks, or like you called out before, Standard Bank, or have businesses that are working with China, you might want to consider reinvesting in Vietnam or India or Taiwan, which are very good, rather than having your money go to the blood-sucking parasite regime of China to fund labor camps and organ harvesting, death camps and state-mandated hospitals. If there are world leaders or governors or mayors who are watching your wonderful show as well, drafting legislation. If there are South African politicians that I'm sure tune in to watch this,
yes,
in the Congress of South Africa, in the Parliament, draft legislation to urge the Chinese Communist Party to stop persecuting and killing Falun Gong practitioners for their organs. That to me is a godsend. That to me is important, and that is that's the solutions that I see we can do to help going forward.
And all those watching, you can engage your MPs, your members of parliament. You can engage your councillors, ward councillors. Actually, you can get involved from the level where you are. I tell people, start with the school governing body. If we want to affect the world and effect changes around the world, we've got to get involved in the smallest places where we are. That is where it starts. Start stirring the waters there. Get involved in the school governing body. Be part of the community forums. Be in this cycle so that you can influence decisions that are taken in those places to higher places. Or what do you think, Michelle? Because I'm thinking it starts with the MPs. These are human beings are behind the voting. It's human beings that vote the bills. They vote for the bills. It's human beings that pass the legislation. So if there's anyone to engage and win, it's the people on the ground. Our MPs live in our localities. They stay in our communities, whether suburbs or townships, it doesn't matter. They shop where we shop. We can engage them there. Michelle,
Absolutely.
final words.
Absolutely, Major. Stay strong. And there was a wonderful quote from Isaiah, and I just want to share with you just briefly before we leave. And thank you for letting me share as always, because you are a godsend. Let me see if I have it. It's from Isaiah. Here, Isaiah. Here's a Bible verse I think about sometimes, many times, Major. And it goes, this is from Isaiah chapter 6, the book of Isaiah. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, here I am, send me. Send me to expose evil. Send me to root out the devilish schemes and propaganda and deception, and bring light, truth, and goodness to the world, even if it was just for 1 second of a lifetime. That will mean the world to all of us. And you, my dear Major, I will never forget this, because you'll one day see when the tides are turning, and they are turning, when the annals of history, in the history books are written, you will be praised by great grace be the glory of God, and all your sponsors and all your donors who have made this possible, because I know how expensive this is, even in your audience, looking and bearing witness and testimony to this. These are historic times. These are godly times. We are living in the book of Revelations. We are in the spiritual battle between good and evil. And every single human being on this planet Earth, as long as you are an adult, have a responsibility to stand either on the wrong side of destiny or the right one. And I choose to stand with you, Major, and all of you listening on the right side. So with that, thank you for letting me share about Falun Gong, exposing the CCP, and being with you today in the Lord's grace and light. And with that, I'm grateful. Thank you, Major, again.
Hallelujah, Yahweh be praised.
Hallelujah.
We're grateful to you for coming like this in a very critical time like this one, and you just poured out, you gave your all. Mitchell, before we release you, finally, everybody's grateful. Anyone who stopped from watching from any site, go and bypass censorship and go to Apple TV, Roku TV, Fire TV, go to Twitter, Facebook, try YouTube, try mdntv.live. You can actually watch anywhere. Don't let censorship stop you from seeing this. Michelle, any links, reports that you can share before you go? And we'll make sure our producer is standing by and our director to put all those in the comment section for the people to be able to access more information. Michelle.
With pleasure, Major. I think if anyone would like to learn about Falun Gong and what it is, faluninfo.net, faluninfo, faluninfo.net, faluninfo.net. Also, stoporganharvesting.org. That's our website. I'm a big advocate for the website. It's run by wonderful people as well, who has given me the permission to advocate for them, because I just, I share with them, I leave no name and I seek no reward. This is just God's work. I just want more people to learn about the evil of the CCP and, just voice support to these innocent Falun Gong practitioners. And I would also suggest people go to endtransplantabuse.org, endtransplantabuse.org. Transplant, not transplants, just transplant, endtransplantabuse.org, as well as watching hardtobelievemovie.org. .com, hardtobelievemovie.com. I'll send you all the links as well, Major, but God bless you and thank you for everything you do, your audience and all your sponsors, and I'm sure I'll see our paths will cross again, certainly soon again.
Wow, thanks a gazillion times you as we bid you shalom. All the comments, all the links are up your screen. That was Michelle Nicholas Gebber, an activist, an investigative reporter, 200 miles away from the Chinese border. He says, "Whom shall I send? Whom shall I send indeed is a question I leave with you. Will you be the one that God can send?" Look, you can do the little stuff where you are. Start at your level. People want to do big things. You can start with the small stuff. And one of those is sharing this broadcast far and near. Let everybody know about what is happening in China. Not only that, go and get involved in your communities, engage your members of parliament, engage them politicians who are telling us that we should get the Chinese jab, right? They said we should get the Chinese jab. You heard what he said. He's been on this for over 2 years. Investigating on the jabs and all this coronavirus stuff. Not only that, 23 years plus of investigative work on the Falun Gong. Judge for yourself. Do the little you can where you are. Finally, somebody says, thank you for the information. That is Cecilia Shongwe. I can't read all your comments, but we can sure go back to that much later on. Come on, send your comments, your contributions, whatever, your appreciation. Somebody says, thank you for this informative session. It's one of a kind. That is it. And transplantabuse.org. You can see them on your screen and also on the comment section. If you need anything, contact us. We'll be available. And you can also visit their website and get all the information you need there. It will be available. Might I repeat, whom shall I send? Be the one that God can send in this hour. Change the game for your community. Change the game for the people of the world. Change the game for the Falun Gong community in China. Somebody says, when Satan finally goes down to the pit of hell at the end, the very first amazed to see him are the world leaders, all to whom they gave power. Money and position equals power. Michel Nicholas Berger from China, 200 miles away from Chinese border. He's in Vietnam. He was here. The world will know that he was here. We can help this broadcast go far and near. Let everybody know that he was here. We pray for his protection and that of his family continuously. May the hand of the Lord be forever upon him. May the Lord keep him and his family. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon him. May the Lord be good to him, right? Thanks a gazillion times. I think this will be the right way to end this broadcast. To all our viewers around the world and our partners, well done.
One of the worst crimes in history began taking place in hospitals throughout the country as organ transplants suddenly began to skyrocket.
We've been asked to investigate allegations that there has been harvesting of organs of Falun Gong in China. Our bottom line conclusion, after considering everything as best we could, was that the allegations are true.
I began conducting comprehensive interviews with medical professionals, Chinese law enforcement personnel, and over 50 refugees from the Laogai system. But I estimate that 65,000 Falun Gong were murdered for their organs from 2000 to 2008.
Essentially what organ harvesting means is they're taking Falun Gong practitioners literally like cattle, holding them in prison camps, testing their blood and other vital organs, and when someone comes into the country that needs a heart, a liver, a kidney, they find a match, they take the Falun Gong practitioner, extract their organs, of course killing them in the process.
People who are expecting this to sort of just be solved naturally by all we have to do is sit back and they'll fix it, this is wrong. The West has to take a role. And the one role the West can do is say, these are our values. We cannot go beyond this. There are certain lines we can't cross. This is a red line. That's an absolute red line.
Enver Tohti, the surgeon turned bus driver, says it's been 20 years since he removed the organs from that live prisoner. It remains a mystery why so few people have ever heard about the thing he says he cannot forget.
This is my experience. This is a real, true story. If you keep silence, this tragedy will continue. And people, they just don't want to touch this evil. Because if you touch this evil, maybe at the end of the day, you may not be able to tackle this, the consequences. That is my guess.
One of the worst crimes in history